I think we're back on every platform now. I think my bands are up on YouTube and Facebook, so I think we're legitimately back. And of course, on Twitch, we're back from a few days hiatus. It is good to be back. I'm going to go ahead and tell the Discord we're live. And we're live. And we're live. I might even shout out to the Instagram community today because I've been getting more active on there. Again, just having a little flush. Must be Leo season, to be honest. But yeah, we'll wait for everyone to show up. As you guys know, I can't tell when you're here until you say what's up. At least for the first, I don't know, 15 minutes. I can't tell you. I can't tell you. Anyway, I'm here. I'm excited to see you all. I'm excited to be back. It's been a restful few days for me. I think it's going to, unfortunately, be more restful coming days than I expected, to be honest. I'll get into that in a little bit. I have some fun videos for today that I'm excited to share with everybody. I had them in the backup last week, and then I went down our whole Kabbalistic conspiracy theory rabbit hole, which I don't regret for a second, and I have continued going down it myself. Nyquil, what's up, bro? Good to see you, my man. It's good to see you. It has been. I've missed you. You know, I've missed my regular fam here. So it's good to see you. All right, people trickling in. You know what? I got a late start today, Nyquil. You're right on time, brother. You're literally right on time. I just went live a minute and 47 seconds ago. So it is good. It is good to be back in the mix, to be back in the chair with the mic on. Hearth Soma, good to see you again. Curly Q, welcome and good to see you. It's good to see everybody. I'm here chilling. Again, very relaxed. Very excited. Excited and relaxed is a weird combination, but it's kind of the thing I try to ride in life. So that's how I'm feeling right now. So this is good. Again, I have some cool TED Talks today. I'm excited to share them with you. I know you guys were digging, a lot of people were really digging the Kabbalistic conspiracy theory that we went into last week. And again, I definitely was digging it. I spent all weekend on it. I'm still going into it in my free time. I love it. And I'm now cross-referencing, and like this is becoming a bit of a new hobby. We won't call it an obsession, a new hobby for me. But it's been cool. Oh, Sorghum and Leather, good morning. I have announcements highly pertinent to you too, my friend. It's been cool getting back into the mix here. I have to tidy everything, and I haven't even gotten back into the temple yet. But Temple Camp shows me everything's undisturbed, which is what it's for. That's the purpose of it. So yeah. So announcement that I have as of an hour ago is that my father-in-law will be here by the time I get out of this room. So that will probably cramp my style a little bit, and I may or may not experience some delays in fulfillment on some items this week and possibly into next week due to the backlog that may ensue. I can't guarantee it. My father-in-law doesn't really know what I do. He is not really our styles don't really mesh, but I love my wife, so I want to make her father feel welcome. So we may experience some slight delays in transit. These will not be delayed. These broadcasts will not be delayed. But yes, so the upside to this is I'm going to use this time to do some quiet, office-y looking stuff, including actually developing like a scheduling mechanism for folks who want to come visit the temple. I don't have that yet, and I should just kind of be like, hey, if you want to visit the temple, like Sorghum and Leather, I can just send you a link. Because it's the scheduling part and the coordinating schedule is just so hard. And I'm fairly flexible within constraints. So this way I can integrate it with my calendar, and that's already kind of working around my existing schedule. So it'll never be a point where like, oh, dang, I got to do tarot readings that hour, and you're on your way here. So it'll all be integrated and all be on point. So for Sorghum and Leather, and for anyone and everyone who's coming by the temple, I can't wait to welcome you. So we'll get that all set up. This week I'll spend time doing that. Other exciting things, guys, the response to the book has blown my mind. I have on my whiteboard here that I was expecting, 15, maybe 21 past the original run. And far more than that. I've seen you guys far in excess of that being ordered. So, first of all, thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting me and my work, for believing in me and my work, and for empowering yourself with it. That's what it's there for. So thank you for giving it purpose. But second of all, and more pertinent perhaps, I'm going to put out a lot more books now. Evidently, people like physical books. I never know what people want. Ebooks, webinars, whatever the fuck. So a lot of this stuff is old classes and webinars. But especially like now, I've found the recordings of my old in-person classes that I gave 3-4 really good stuff. Basics of candle magic. What else was in there? I can't even remember. Yeah, it's Basics of Candle Magic was in there. Paleotheology was another great one that's in there. I have another really, really good one in there too. Oh, and then the other thing is I have that 5-hour cursing. Sorry, not cursing. The opposite of that. The 5-hour spiritual self-defense masterclass. And that's kind of a lot of video to watch. But all that content's fucking awesome. So I have started to put that stuff, it's now in an audio file, and that is now AI transcribed, and now we just got to parse through it and clean it up, and putting that together will then be I think something really, really cool, because once I have it in text form, I can edit it and rearrange stuff and make it like a more of a reference, because it's, as usual, it's somewhat irreverent, right? I go on tangents, and I have my parenthetical notes and my footnotes and my ADD lecture style. But it's comprehensive, 5.5 hours. So there's a lot of information in there. When I did the rough math, it ended up being something like at least 200 pages. So I think we can produce from that raw material, once I have a clean transcription, I can edit it and compile it and produce like a really good comprehensive reference book that everyone can have. And now I feel very comfortable with the publishing service and how they want things configured and how they want the documents arranged and all that good jazz. So because it's frankly not practical when you're like, oh, I know somewhere in this video he talks about this situation, let me go through 5 hours and find it. That's not, you can't do that, right? But a book with a table of contents, bing, okay, it's this type of problem, this is how to get rid of it. I think that's handy. And so that's something, and it's something I would love to kind of just get a first edition out and then expand it, just put in specific workings and things like that. So let's say I got some new folks to welcome. Let's see, Junkyard Girl, welcome. And Solomon, welcome. Thanks for sneaking in. So that's kind of the plan, again, with my father-in-law kind of coming to town, cramping my style somewhat out of the blue this week. I'm going to be shifting on that. So first of all, I appreciate your tolerance and your patience in fulfilling orders. As you know, we've been really trying to zip them out recently, trying to get them in your hands before the next week's drop. Realistically, some of that will happen, but anything that's going to make noise or require me to, perform ritual is probably going to be on hold, which isn't significant, like he's leaving at the end of this week, but it's going to be a few days, so it's going to bump things probably a week in fulfillment. So we appreciate your patience and your tolerance on that. So with all that said, what's new with you guys? It's been a few days. We're obviously into Leo season now. I posted my annual Leo season, hey everyone about me post. I posted my face on Instagram. I try to keep in with the times. I hope everyone's feeling good. That Cancer season was rough. It was emotional. The Virgo season we have ahead is probably rough, if I'm being very real. But I hope everyone's enjoying the Leo season we've got right now, because it's a good and happy time to be alive. I hope everyone else is feeling that to another TV viewer. Welcome again. I have now become convinced that you are not a robot. You are indeed a human being, and you enjoy the content. So I welcome you in fellowship, and I appreciate you joining us. I expect that coming around September, and this is, people have been asking me this in DMs. Some of the people in this chat room have been, or in this stream have been asking this in DMs, so I'm going to share it. I've been asked a whole lot of questions about the Delta variant and vaccines and all this shit. I'm not going to say anything on vaccines except do your own research, make your own decision, be skeptical of your sources, and check the sources for your sources. I'm going to very much advise you to do that. I'm also going to say that research technical seeming stuff that you do not have expertise in. So if you see a term like, I don't know, what was one? Dihydrogen monoxide was one I saw in something warning, giving certain warnings. And then I, of course, know, and I would encourage you to just, if you don't know what it is, just put it in Google, and then it'll tell you what it is, unless you want to believe Google is all corrupt. But I think you can find good information. And you'll see that dihydrogen monoxide is water, and that is not a dangerous ingredient to anything. And so I just encourage you to do your own research, be smart, be thoughtful, come to your own conclusions, determine what's safe and best for you and your family. But with that said, I do think with the resurgence of the Delta variant right now, which is fitting in line with what I foresaw, with what Dr. Cosmic foresaw, with a gentleman named Don Jose, who I interact with foresaw, many people foresaw, end of summer, beginning of autumn, whether you want to consider a resurgence or whatever, but a resurgence of the effect on our lives in terms of economically quarantine shit of this nature. So I would advise everyone to be thoughtful and prepared for that happenstance. There's a great sense, especially now in Leo season, of relaxing and reclining and saying, okay, we're out of the trouble. The happy days are back again. And they are for now. Enjoy. And at the same time, perhaps, consider what if this doesn't last forever, and therefore what might we do to prepare for, consider the eventuality that these happy days might not last forever, and just be mindful of that. That's the thing I would like to say to everyone. And with that said, I like to give the disclaimers up front. I'd say dive into Leo season, because we didn't get one last year. I don't know if we're going to get one next year. We have this one. I don't know, man. Like, so much of this, the pandemic thing, is matching up with that old prophecy that I can't remember who gave it. I want to say it was the old Edgar Cayce prophecy or whatever. Someone like random American oracle. Like, not Nostradamus, but like kind of that kind of thing. And it predicted a resurgence, and then it's suddenly disappearing before, kind of at the end of the year. So it may follow that pattern. It may not. I have decided really that I'm not going to gather more information on what's to come. I'm thinking more about quantum theory. I'm thinking about divination and quantum theory. As soon as a state is observed, it collapses alternate probabilities. That's why if you guys get readings from me, when I'm laying the cards, like, it seems like there's so much at stake. Because that, once it's seen, it can't be unseen. If you see something with certainty, you've at least reduced the other possibilities, right? Probabilities. You've reduced that probability set, and to some extent, I think in any sincere divination, that's at work. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but I don't know, man. I got spooked a couple weeks ago, and I was like, really now with this fucking guys going to space and everything, this really now is like exactly out of a series of short stories I wrote many decades ago. And that started to bug me out, and I was like, maybe I should be a little more careful with what I put out and what I and I think for all, I'm not saying I'm fucking super powerful, but naturally it's on my frequency, right? So I'm going to be attuned to the news that matches my frequency. There's people out there who are not putting these pieces together in the same way in their view of reality, and their view of reality is totally different because the news that they're encountering is totally different. They're not like, oh shit, one billionaire's making brain implants, another billionaire's bringing us to space, he wants to dump pollution out there, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, just these particular things are very familiar to me. They happen to all stick out. They fit a pattern that I think relatively uniquely, because they're unpublished short stories. No. So, I don't know. I think it's the kind of thing where just that classic thing where you get back what you put out. I'm starting to really get a feel for how that can be delayed, right? You can put something out and not get that back for some time, or you can see it manifest over time. Certainly leads one to question, but the habit many people have of consulting their tarot cards for everything. The cards are not wrong. The question is as to whether you're sort of eliminating other possibilities by consulting the cards. Meaning, if you and I consult the cards about the same affair at the same moment, there's actually some decent probability based on my experience that we'll have some commonalities in our spread. If we do the same spread, say two different places, same deck, in tandem, in connection about the same thing at the same time. But we're not going to have the exact same spread. It's simply not going to happen. And so, if that be the case, what are we seeing there? Two different possible realities. And so, that probably would keep more open. But if just one of us is doing it, then there's only one possible reality consulted. And that is what it is. There's a bit of a gamble to it. It's not an untrue reality. It's always a possible reality, right? And so, at minimum, I'm going to extrapolate from this rant that I'm not really sure how I got on, but I think is a valid rant. At minimum, I'm going to extrapolate the advice that you should be very thoughtful in your consultation question, okay? Because if you're saying, is this going to happen, or how is so-and-so going to happen, you're going to get an answer from a possible reality. If you consult, on the other hand, saying like, how can I interact with so and so, or how can so and so come about, or how can I approach so and so or such and such, in accordance with my highest good, you're minimizing the number of realities that can answer that question. And still there's multiple paths, right? Like there's many ways from the mountain to the ocean, but nonetheless, you're minimizing those possibilities, and that's going to keep you at least in accordance with something that's going to serve you. That's the prayer. If you've gotten divination with me, the lengthy, quiet prayer I say, right? I say the Lord's Prayer 3 times and knock on my deck. And that's because I don't keep my deck wrapped appropriately in silk and whatever. Not because I can't. I probably should, to be honest with you. I should have a box and silk for it, but when I started reading cards, I was not in the habit, and I never developed the habit. So I'm exercising the deck every time. Basically, I'm removing any influences that have entered the deck because it's not properly shielded. And then I say another quiet prayer every time. And that one is asking that the advice given for everything I consult be in accordance with the true path, with God's will, etc. So, in your consultation, I very much suggest you at least take that. And that's, to me, I don't think I have any more skill than any other person in shuffling cards and pulling them out in a random order and then looking at pictures and saying what I see. I think in asking that question and perhaps in preparing things with the prayer, that's where I perhaps have a reputation for more accuracy and whatever. That's my take on it. Looking at the chat here. So Hearthstone, I felt that way about tarot for a while. Also astrological, consultation. As soon as you decide subconsciously that's what's going to happen, and it does. So I think there's a subconscious effect, but I think there's additionally, basically a magical effect, right? You've taken the infinite realities and you've cast yourself into one of them, whether you know about it or not. I mean, that's why work done on you by someone you don't know will still work. If you don't even know they're doing it, it works. You can be cursed without knowing anyone's cursing you, right? So same with it's the same effect. It's a magical effect. But it's why there are you know, many strictures and concerns about divination. It's an interesting topic to consider. It's is a skilled, I think a skilled diviner is someone who is more effective at collapsing realities, more so than scrying the future per se, things of that nature. Anyway, we got down a rabbit hole here. I don't even know if this is what you guys want to talk about. It seems like some people tuned out. Maybe you guys are here to check out the TED Talks more. Let me know. Give me some feedback in the chat. I will queue up the TED Talks while we're chilling here. But also, this is I said AMA Q&A, so ask me anything, question and answer. If you got them, let me know. I'm going to take a moment here and give some shout outs. Let's see. So there was Zen Vibes. I remember that one. So some people I have new shout outs to give here. Let me see. So, shout-outs go to Sabrina DeVille and Maurice Barton on Facebook. Thank you for the follows. Also, Cattle Grid on Twitch. Thanks for joining during my hiatus even. You just came on the strength alone. I greatly appreciate that. In the meantime, let me pull up YouTube here for you guys. I have all these. TED Talk, everything you know. Wow, there's a lot of TED Talks that have that. Everything you know about retail, everything you know about addiction, everything. Okay, this is not what I want to do. I'll try this. There you go. There you go. Cool. Boom. All right, I have this ready to go. Good morning, Diviana. Welcome. Good morning. So, I have this TED Talk queued up. Again, like I said, this is an AMA. If you guys have questions about literally anything to do with, if you want to do with me, cool. Leo season, hooray. But if you want questions to do with about anything, this is definitely where to ask it. I'm going to take a moment here and put a shout up on the Instagram. Boop. Trying to get a good picture here. There we go. Cool. Cool, and I do have my soundproofing up. Everything's looking pretty good here. Cool. Well, I guess we'll dive right into TED Talks. Everyone has all their questions answered, at least from me, so that's good. That means I've been answering questions recently. Answering questions at least adequately. That they don't lead to any follow-up questions. Also, speaking of questions, if you don't have any right now, if you have questions about, spiritual work, your spiritual path, anything like that, and you think I can be helpful to you, please let me be a resource to you. We have a thread in the Discord. So if you don't dig the Discord yet, look around, you'll figure it out. There's all these things that say text channels, and then there's hashtags there. Actually, let me put this up on screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I think that's going to be helpful, yeah? Let me get that going here. I think that'll be good. So I'm going to give me a sec here. I got to add a window. Add source. Here we go. Screen capture. Window capture. There we go. Discord. Okay. So here's the Discord. Let me make that bigger for everybody. I'll just kind of show you if you haven't seen it yet. So here's the Discord. Boom, boom, boom. And you can go. So we have this questions and tips section. Can you see? Right? Boom. And this is just an ongoing thread. You'll get answers from me. You'll get answers from like respected community members and all sorts of people. So I recommend that. There's other cool things that I'll show you here. There's a topic of the week thread that I have failed to maintain, which I will do better about during this week of not active working. This member intro thread where everyone's been introducing themselves, and I probably should drop mine today. Suggestions thread for people to kind of make suggestions. And then there's community daily tarot, where there is a bot that will pull tarot cards for you. A lot of people have been really enjoying that. Ancestry, resources about ancestry, conversation, etc. Some of the guided meditations have gotten dropped in here. I need to do better at that. Theoretically, the TED Talks are supposed to go in here. And then I don't know if the library has even gotten built out. But in this area, we're mostly in community chat and questions and tips. I saved kind of the best for last, which is the transcription thread. This is where I'm asking for people who are interested in helping correct the transcriptions of lectures for me to then develop them into books. It's just a time-consuming process that needs to be either shared among multiple people or, people who have not too little kids and all the other shit I got going on, to sit and listen to the lecture. I'll give you access to the lecture. You keep that. And then I have you'll log into the app, otter.ai, and you'll edit the text in the app. And when you do that, it's just right in front of you. It's very easy, and actually you'll play through the lecture right in the app. So you do that for me, for us really, and help us get that content correct. I will take it from there and edit it into a book and have someone copy edit it and have it compiled and all that, and get the books made and all that jazz. You in the book will be credited. You also get obviously a free copy of the book, and you also have ongoing access to that lecture. So I'm going to pop that all over. I'm looking through the chat here. Diviana. So if you want to ask in Hoodoo Academy, you can. I'll be honest, I don't check that often at all, but the Discord I check. I just hate Mighty Networks. I hate that platform. It didn't work for me at all. I just didn't like it. But Discord, I'm like constantly in. So if you pop that into Discord, you get my answer, kind of everyone's answer. And the thing is, Hoodoo Academy is very Hoodoo specific. You're not going to get an answer in Hoodoo Academy that's not Hoodoo specific. Whereas, if you ask in the Discord, I'll just give you what I think is the right answer, whether it has anything to do with Hoodoo or not. That's part of the goal of Hoodoo Academy, is that cultural preservation angle. So we really try to keep it in that context. But obviously, I presume you, and certainly I am that's not my exclusive context. NyQuil, I definitely advise. Yeah, anyone who so the old. Let me tell everyone about the Mighty Network, the Holy Mountain Mighty Network, which people are still joining every day. I'm probably going to change that link to the Discord, to be honest with you, because I don't, as you guys know, don't really interact with that at all. So I'll probably switch that link to the Discord. I don't like Mighty Networks, but all that content I will, for the most part, anything that was mine, we'll try to port over to the Discord. Also try to get it transcribed and things like that. And then in terms of intros and things like that, you might as well copy them over, because I think that I paid for a year of it. It's going to run a year, and when that year's up, I don't intend to renew it. So that's the situation with it. The platform just wasn't right for my style. I think for our community's sort of AD&D, I said, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Our community's ADD style. It's just a little stifling of a platform. So we got some new folks to welcome in. So Dyslectics, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Commander Root, welcome back. Always good to see you. Algonquians, again, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in again. And Andy WMT. You guys kind of roll as a pack, I think. You tune in on the same days. I think what happens is the days I post on Instagram is the days people check it out. And I fixed the link in my Instagram bio link. I realized I had it, so you were going to try to watch live, and it just didn't work. It worked badly, is what I have to say about it. It was embedded, and it was subpar. So hopefully we'll get some folks tuning in. So here's why I'm hesitating on playing this TED Talk. Clearly I'm dragging my feet on this. The reason is because I got banned from everything before for playing TED Talks, for playing other people's content. I know it'll work, because for a while I didn't get banned, and that's because I was like, again, very ADD, cutting in and giving commentary. So I wasn't just playing the TED Talk. I never let it run more than a minute or so. So if I do that, we're good. That's probably a little annoying because the dude's trying to make the point in the TED Talk. So I don't really know how to navigate this. Should I just risk the YouTube ban? Because they will ban my ass like permanently if they catch me again. So I don't know. I clearly I'm juggling with the concept. I might just drop the link to the TED Talk or log off of YouTube. I don't really know. Not that a ton of people are joining us via YouTube. It might just be I don't know, worth the risk. You guys tell me. I'll trust you guys to guide me well here. maybe wisely, maybe not wisely. No. Okay, no guidance. You're gonna make me make my own decisions. That's responsible of you, and I guess I can take responsibility for my own choices. All right, let's try it. I'll dive in. All right, if I remember correctly, this is really quiet. I don't even remember. Let's try it. Maybe it's like... Maybe I can do something. Maybe I can play music in the background? And like fuck up their detection? What do you guys think? Do you think that's a possible thing? I think that might work. Let me try this. Because I do have reliable music that it can't detect. Yeah. Right, like I know that if I play this, it doesn't care. I've done this a bunch. But now that's pretty loud in the mix, so I gotta bring that down. Okay. So, as we come in, I'll pull it down a little. We want to hear the lecture. But I think this should like... Well, so music does sometimes mute my recording, but this music, it doesn't bother about. Yeah. It doesn't, because it's just like a remix of a remix of a remix. It can't. And I think maybe if I lay it over this other video here, I just don't want it to be too disorienting for you guys. We'll see. All right, so now this guy's max volume. I don't even know if I'm hearing it. Is this video super quiet? That's gonna Is this the really quiet? There's one video that's like really quiet. Is this it? Oh yeah, I can't even fucking hear this guy. Pause the music. Can I even hear him if I...
All the Generation X dads.
What is going on? It's way too quiet. Can you guys hear this guy?
An imprint, like the layer in the rock when the asteroids killed the dinosaurs. And that line...
I can barely hear this.
The first time we saw The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. Yeah, this recording is...
That movie came out in 1980. It was a sequel to Star Wars, of course, and made a big impression on me. I mean, it had this crazy twist. It was so dark. I mean, the bad...
Yeah, okay, so that's the video. There's nothing we could do about that. It's super low volume. I'll drop you guys the link because I think it's a good video. This one, I think, sounds better. Let's see. We'll let till he gets to talking.
How many of you want to conquer the world for the better?
I think that's okay, right? You can hear this better?
Good. Why don't...
How is that? You guys tell me. I think that's going to be okay. And so maybe I can pull this down in the background. That's still quite louder. Definitely. Pull it down a little more. Okay.
We say it. You want to... Well, for the better, yeah. You know what? When I was at your age, I thought that old people were boring, to be honest. They had a job and they complained. They had a family and they complained. And they had, to me, it looked like they had everything, and yet they complained. So I decided when I was going to go old, I was not going to be like them. But the sad news is that most of us in this room are going to end up being just that boring. So how come that some young people that are resourceful, they have everything, accomplish nothing, and some people that are sourceful, have nothing, can change the world? That's what we're going to look at today. And I'm not talking to you from an old man's perspective. I'm talking to you from somebody who just sailed for 3 years, for 3 days. And it was not my wife's idea. No, it was not my idea. It was my wife's idea. And so she promoted me to my own incompetence by deciding that I was going to be the skipper. And you know, the skipper is the guy who takes all the important decisions, and then my wife decides what is important. So when you're out there sitting in the cockpit and the waves are about 4 meters high and the wind is blowing through the rig with a 40 knots strength and it's really whistling, and you're sitting there by yourself because the other ones are sleeping, then you suddenly hear a voice of fear. And I got really interested in what is that voice? Who is it that is trying to call me back to my comfort zone? Why is it so hard to make something different with this voice coming from within, doing actually damage to me? So let's start from the beginning. I have my son, he's 3 years old. He's standing next to me by a hill. You can think San Francisco, really steep hill with a gravel road that goes. 1 second he stands next to me, the next second he's running like crazy down that road. His legs are like drumsticks, you know, a small 3-year-old. And of course, I start to shout, "Stop it! You're gonna kill yourself!" And of course, he takes off. He starts to fly like a bird for a second, and then he crashes. And I scoop him up, I try to comfort him, but by some reason, women are better at that, so my wife takes over and she tells me to get some water and some napkins so we can clean his wounds. So I walk away, I get some water, napkins, come back, and then I go down on my knees. Now he's just sobbing, he's not crying anymore. And we start to clean. And what do you think I'm saying? What do you think I'm going to say to him? No guesses. I told you. Exactly. I told you. And what am I actually saying to him? I'm saying, take no risks. It's going to hurt. That's the message. Now, if that wasn't enough, we have a few more messages for our kids. This must be the dream PowerPoint, and I'm going to read everything for you. No, I'm not. The one that I love the most is, "You are just like your father." What's wrong with that? Anyway, the next question you should ask yourself is, how many times do we give that message to our kids? Actually, there is a research group in Australia who measured 1,000 normal families to see how many negative messages do we give our kids. And they came to an average that says that serving our kids with 23 negative messages per day for the first 18 years, which makes it a total of 148,000. This is something wrong with this. What's the title? 148,000 negative lines. So, how is that? This little kid is actually my first daughter. She's just 1 hour old. And the only programming she has in her brain now is the genetical code, which is eat, fight, and if it doesn't work, run, and reproduce yourself. Those are the 4 only codes that we are born with. If there is anything I want you to remember from this speech, is that your brain is neutral. Your brain doesn't know what's right or wrong. This is something that we program as parents to our kids, because something that is okay here is not okay in China, so it's all cultural. So of course I can tell my kid, don't pick your nose and eat it. Not the nose. But maybe I don't have to do it all the time. And maybe I shouldn't call my kid an idiot, for instance. So think of these lines as 148,000 lines of code that you would feed into a computer to create a great software that is going to conquer the world. You start off with 148,000 lines of don't. That's going to be hard, isn't it? And it's not only that, the brain wants to confirm all these lines. So if I'm told that I'm clumsy as a kid, every time I drop something or I'm about to fall, I'm going to say, oh, I'm so clumsy. Do you recognize this? So the line of code that was programmed to you turns to an inner dialogue. Quite interesting. And that inner dialogue serves as an autopilot. So I'm going to try something here. I'm going to ask one of you to sing for us. It's funny to see how you all look away, like, not me, not me. Do you feel what kind of line that came up? Well, it was one of those, and one of them is, I can't sing. Do you recognize this? So I was told when I was 10 years old by a teacher, just move your lips when we're singing. Don't ruin the song. And should that be the truth for the rest of my life? Should that be that line of code that goes with me the rest of the life? Unfortunately, yes. This is what happens to most of us. And what happened now when I was reaching for the microphone was that that line of code or that inner dialogue became louder. Could you notice that? It sort of came up, I can't sing. And this is what happens in a cockpit in a boat when you are doing something different and you are scared. When you're outside the comfort zone, this line of code gets louder. It's kind of interesting. And of course, your self-esteem is a result on how loud that line of code is. And of course, some people, they think that that inner dialogue is so loud, so they need to use drugs to keep it quiet. And that is a problem, of course. So, how many of you have ever given a promise on New Year's Eve? Give me a hand. Yeah, almost everybody. Can anybody stand up here and say, I could keep my promise for a whole year? Nobody. All right? So there is something wrong with giving a promise, wanting to change something, and actually make it. So we can prove that the will is not helping us to change anything in our life. Are you with me on that? So this is a picture of that 1 hour old kid is now getting married. This is my daughter. So when she's getting married, I want to deliver a great speech. I'm her father, so I'm expected to deliver a great speech. I make my small cue cards and prepare everything, and I put them inside my inner pocket. And after church, we go for dinner, and there they are, 100 people, friends and family, all waiting for this great speech. And that's when I start to feel that my mouth is getting dry, my hands are shaking. It's terrible. I mean, I want to deliver a great speech. What is going on? What's wrong? Something takes over. The autopilot takes over. So when I'm reaching for the cue cards, and I cling the glass, because that's what you do in Sweden before you give a speech, and I stand up, I start saying exactly what the inner dialogue says. I'm not a speaker. It doesn't say on my cue cards, but this is exactly what many people start with and when they start giving a speech. Do you recognize it? And everybody sitting there goes, oh my God, this is so terrible. Because we can all empathically feel what it feels like being there. They made a research where they found that 85% of all the people you ask would rather walk on charcoal that is on fire than giving a speech. And I say the 15% that don't mind, they are lying. So how can we reprogram? How can we stop this autopilot? How can we get out of this and change our lives? There is an interesting thing that happened here. It was in a university. This is just 6 months old. A university where they divided the kids. So half of the group, when they were exposed to candy, were supposed to say to themselves, I shall not eat candy. So exactly like a New Year's Eve promise, all right? And the other group were told to say, I do not eat candy. So they put out stations with candy, and they have observers so they could measure how many people they could stay away from it. And they found this result. 39% could stay away from the candy if they said, I shall not. And 64% could stay away from the candy just by saying, I do not eat candy. So obviously, the brain's programming works in presence. So if you say, I shall not eat candy, the brain goes, oh, in the future. But now you deserve some candy. You had a hard day. Of course you're going to eat some candy. So the voting is already done unless you tell your brain, I do not eat candy. This is not new. We have a professor in Sweden called Karl-Erik Unestål who's been doing research for 30 years about how we reprogram our brain. And that has been used a lot, for instance, with athletes. Because if you have two athletes that are equally strong, the one with the better software is going to win. And they actually have used this a lot with treatment of cancer, because they have measured that if I tell somebody that you have cancer, just by telling you, the brain starts a whole programming sequence, which is terrible. And I'm not talking about positive thinking. I'm talking about how you envision the outcome. That's what makes it the difference. So how do we reprogram our brains now? Do you want to learn that? Yeah. All right. So this is an example how I did it. So when you're out sailing, this thing is really not funny today. So when you're out sailing, this is our boat Salsa. It's a wonder of technicalities. You have satellite communication. You have water maker that magically makes salt water into fresh water. You have a refrigerator. You have a toilet that flushes. Everything is great. For only one thing, everything breaks. So the challenge today when you're sailing over the Atlantic is not to find your way over the Atlantic. You have GPS and computers for that. The challenge is to have everything working and having enough power to have it working. So I went to a school and learned how to take apart a diesel engine, how to work with electricity and all that, because I really don't care. I'm not interested in technical matters. But I knew that in the Tuamotus, in the French Polynesia, and the Pacific, there is nobody that's going to help me because they know even less than I do. The problem was that even though I learned all these things, I had a tendency to swear. So when I was fixing something, I would always go mad. And I was, So I was saying all kinds of words. And finally, my wife said to me, you know what? You are so bad that we don't even dare to tell you that something has gone broke. Because you have such a temper with that. We can't stand it. Can you be quiet? I said, sure, I can be quiet. I'm quiet. And the steam was coming out of the toilet because I was fixing a marine toilet when I decided, no, this doesn't work. I have to reprogram my brain. So I wrote a script. So this is the script I wrote. I only focus on things that I can change, which is a good start because most people focus on things they cannot change. We have a tendency to discuss the weather, how other people behave, how bad that is, but those are all things that have to do with somebody else. So you should always focus on things you can only change on yourself. That means how you're triggered. The next thing I'm saying is I'm good at solving problems. I like challenges. Problems are my teachers. They help me to grow and so on and so forth. And this is how I go about. What do you think I do with this script? Any guess? Toss it away. No. I read it. and I read it once in my phone. We all have phones where you can record stuff. And then when I'm done with that, I play this every day. And I usually do it together with something else that I do every day, like brushing my teeth or something like that. So you should always connect the reading with something that you already do every day. Otherwise, you're going to do it two days, and then you're going to forget it. And then you think, okay, it doesn't matter. So you're going to lose it. So record it, and then you listen to it every day. Now, your brain is not only neutral, your brain is honest. So the first days, your brain is going to laugh its head off. It's like, oh yeah, sure, problems are no problems to you. You must be kidding me. But don't worry. And it's really hard to write this text because you have to write it in presence. You cannot write, I shall be better at solving problems. You have to write, I'm good at solving problems. Because this is what you're programming your brain. And after 10 days of laughing, your brain will actually give up and shut up. And after 20 days, you're going to read along. Because now you know it by heart. And after 30 days, you're just going to see that there is a change. You know what my wife said? You are even singing now when you change it. She thought this is absolutely amazing how it works. So if you do this for yourself, first of all, find things that you have a problem with yourself. Write a list of things that you think that you're not good at. Now, if you don't find anything that you're not good at, then you can forget this exercise totally, because then you're a narcissist, so nothing is going to change. But most of us will probably write about 10 things that we don't like with ourselves. Write them down, and then you prioritize. So you find the first 3. And on your list, it might say, I cannot prioritize, then you have to ask somebody else to help you. Once you prioritize, write the script and record it. Now, do you want to conquer the world for the better? Do you want to conquer the world for the better? Yes. No! You are conquering the world for the better. Okay? Let's say it together. We are conquering the world for the better. Thank you.
Hey everybody. Hey amigo, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I really dug that one. I hope my little trick with the music there worked. I think it did. I think it'll keep it, because YouTube usually would kick me by now, and they have not. So I think it worked. I think we have figured out 11 with 11 viewers. Yeah. I think we have figured out how to play content without getting banned from YouTube and Facebook. I'll just play Sound Murderer in the background forever. It's okay. I listen to that album probably more than any other album, so that is fine. It's great background music. Problem solved. Okay. I was planning on shortening these things down to 1 hour rather than 2 hours based on feedback that I have received. We're probably going to shoot for 90 minutes today because that looks like what we are on track for. Again, now that everybody's here, I want to welcome everyone once again, and I'm going to remake that announcement that I made that I was informed about 2 hours ago, 90 minutes ago, that my father-in-law is joining us for a surprise visit for the next 3 to 4 days. So it is probably going to cramp my style a little in terms of fulfillment and in terms of getting things prepared and out. So please tolerate us. It should not delay things more than a week. But we're gonna proceed as normal, and Solomon and I are gonna do our best to kind of plow ahead within the constraints we have. But anything that makes a lot of noise or is particularly a ritual, we're gonna forestall until his vibes are out of the picture. So with that said, let's move into meditation, because that's going to make everyone's vibes in every picture great. Those who want to suggest any meditations, I'm very open to suggestions today. I personally would like to continue our Apple meditation, but I know that some people like some other ones. So you guys tell me. Academy Impossible, welcome. Thank you for joining us once again. Who else we got in here? Saywani, hey, welcome back. Shark Attack, it's good to see you coming back through, bro. That is that. So Hearthsoma, a little hard to pay attention with the music. Let me see, maybe I'll find like classical music or something that's not so demanding on the attention. I just need to disrupt the audio print for when YouTube does their scan. That's the basic goal I have to accomplish. And maybe I can find a few ways to go about that. With that said, I'm not really seeing any response regarding meditation, so it's apple season, everybody. That's what we're doing. We're going to do an apple meditation. We're going to go back up to 10 minutes. We did 7 minutes. We did 7 minutes last week, pretty much for everything. But we're gonna scale that up, back up to 10. Because we had done 10, we did 15 minutes. We went back to 7. Let's go back up to 10. Let's not lose progress here. Where is my timer? There we go. Boop. Boop. Alright, we don't need 15, we need 10. Alright, so we're going to do 10 minutes Apple meditation. Those of you who are joining us for the first time, the practice in this meditation is simultaneously exercising your imaginative faculties and your receptive faculties. These are the two faculties that we need in divination, magical working, kind of anything. So what we're training is those two things in sort of like in the way that exercise prepares us for sport, right? We're not really doing the sport, but we're using the same faculties and practicing them in an increasingly harder fashion to get good at them, so that when we're doing them in another fashion, we are familiar with them. So the way this meditation works is there's sort of a few stages of practice, and they go along with the development of faculties. You can almost think of, if you're learning to do push-ups, you often will start with wall push-ups, and then you'll start with knee push-ups, and then you'll go to regular foot push-ups, right? So in this, the first stage involves visualizing an apple in perfect detail, rotating it in your visual space in all dimensions and directions, kind of 360 degrees, and seeing every part of it in perfect detail, from the skin of it to the form of it, the shape, the way it reflects light, the way the stem comes out, the way the bud is at the bottom. Obviously apples are maybe red or yellow or green, but they're not a solid color. They're generally mottled in some way, mottled with a T there, double T, not a D. And so we are visualizing this apple in every detail and becoming comfortable with the fact that it's the same apple, making it go away and then bringing it back and bringing that stable apple. And it may not be the first apple that you visualize, you may have to go through a few hundred. You may find, now if you're an artist or something like that, you may find that part is extremely easy, the visualizing the one thing and holding it there. If you are not, you may find it's very challenging that the apple changes size or color or shape multiple times while you're trying to hold it steady, and that's fine. That's what we're practicing, right? So the point is, once you're at that point where you are very stably holding that apple, manipulating it in all your dimensions, and you kind of can zoom in, zoom out, see every sort of part of it, then the next step of the exercise is to practice cutting the apple, in your mind's eye, of course, and looking at the two halves, sort of opening it up, and witnessing the seeds. That's basically the term I want to use, is witnessing rather than seeing. Why? Because witnessing is a very passive role, and this is where that point where your imagination and your receptivity, that active and passive principle, interact. Because when you open it and you witness the seeds, you don't know what they're going to look like, you don't know what shape they are, you don't know what form the actual seed is, you don't know what their arrangement is, you don't know what their color is. And so you should find that you can then close the apple back up and sort of seal it or heal it back together and chop it again, even in another, rotate it and chop it, whatever, and look at the seeds, and it should be different. And so the second stage of practice is really getting comfortable and very familiar with that, such that every time you cut it, it's different or more or less different. You don't know what you're going to see. And you can even take the seeds out, shake the seeds out, and see how they fall differently. That's another one that I like to do, is opening it up, see what the seeds are, and then kind of like shaking it till the seeds fall out, and see how the seeds fall, the pattern they make, etc., etc. Once you can do this with great skill, you can use this very reliably for simple divination, as good as a pendulum, which to me is one of the most reliable divination tools, especially for matters pertaining to yourself. But you have to get good at it first, and it takes, you can spend months or years on each step. I kind of am going to let you go at your own pace, but I'll tell you, the more time you put into each step, the more you're going to get out of the successive steps. And so if you've already done that first or second step with us, as if we've been doing this for a number of months now, almost 4 months, Then you'll finally get to the stage where, well, not even finally, because there's more after this. You'll come to the next stage where you're going to take the seeds and grow the seeds, and that will generally grow something, whether it's a plant. Actually, I don't even want to give you details. Whatever that grows, you can come back to at any time through the original apple, right? You evoke that original apple that is your apple, and you can go kind of back in through the stem or through the bud into the seeds and come back to that scene, and that's something that develops, and you can explore and find the different resources in it and whatever. Some people have asked about, can I grow multiple of those with multiple apples, or can I just use one of the seeds and save them? It is up to you. I'll tell you that I've grown one seed from one apple, and we've been doing it for 4 months, and I'm still, really not expanded past the very basic part of it, because there's so much. So you can. It's up to you, though. So if you're joining us for the first time, I suggest you start kind of very much at the basic and spend 10 minutes just visualizing the apple. If you find that's a really, really easy thing for you, maybe move on to the seeds. If you've been doing this with us for a while, go back to your scene. You certainly know how. I'm going to probably save these instructions and clip them so I can share them on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and everything, because I think those are pretty concise instructions for the apple meditation. And for those of us who are here, we'll dive into it. So with that said, let's get a theta wave going. Theta waves, binaural beats. There we go. What a treat. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to set the waves going. I'll start the timer. I'll mute my mic. And we will go in for 10 minutes of the apple meditation. And I'll see all you guys on the other side. last 10 minutes, gang. Easy peasy going back. I hope everyone had a good trip. I hope it was a good return for most of you guys who are going back to something. With that said, we're gonna offer today's praises and wrap it up. I have a guest to prepare for, and I'm gonna see what I can sneak in before then. So, please raise up your hands. I was reminded in studying a lecture recently that the position of our hands when we pray is very important. Not just our arms, but the hands. Whether the actual position, these are like radar dishes almost. So whether we're bringing things in to accept or we're bringing things out to project is very significant. So be mindful of the shape of your fingers, your hands. Think about them as you're taking your position. Nonetheless, we encourage an open body posture, even if it's just this, for the host of benefits it permits when we open ourselves. So, that said, let's get our 2 minutes in here, folks. Let's open ourselves up. Take a deep breath into our center and exhale. Another time, let's inhale and exhale. Let's acknowledge the whole host of miraculous physiological phenomena that we undergo every moment. From our beating hearts, to our functioning muscles, to our bones moving with electricity, to our minds alive with electricity. The suite of uncountable biochemical reactions, moment to moment, happening within our cells, within our organs, within our bodies. The entire variety of senses and sensibilities, known and unknown, through which we gather and create and experience our consciousness. Let us therefore be grateful and receive these as gifts. Gifts from those who precede us in body and in spirit, those through whom the Creator has manifested each of us. Let us receive the reinforcing energies of these sources. And where we receive an energy that is distorted, an energy that is imbalanced, an energy that is out of accord, let us rectify those energies by bringing them into harmonious accord with the full suite of energies, the symphony of sources that generates each of us. So let us open ourselves to these blessings, to these sources, and to their energies, which are expressed in their fullness in each one of us. Let us experience them with gratitude, embracing them and opening ourselves to them, knowing that if we place resistance in our mind, we will only work to exhaust ourselves against our very sources of energy. Receiving these into ourselves, let us hold them and treasure them in our organs, in our senses, in our beings. Let us then express them outwards with harmony, without exhausting ourselves, by our very synchrony with one another, with the world around us, and with our sources. Let us express our gratitude and deliver our blessings to our ancestors, to our spiritual sources, and to our Creator, the first cause of the chain of events that has led to our being. Let us be grateful for this moment, and this moment, and this moment, and for each moment we have. And let us all say, Amen. Thank you all, as always, for tuning in. I appreciate you. I bless you. I thank you. I love you for your participation in your own life and for sharing it with me. I'll catch all you guys in the Discord.